I want to tell you about a spectacular dining experience. It's Portugal Waterfront Dining, award-winning service and cuisine with a view of the dynamic L.A. harbor from every seat. Enjoy daily sunset specials, as well as the South Bay's best champagne brunch. The outdoor harborside patio is a perfect setting for happy hour every weekday from 3 to 8. Portugal Waterfront Dining. For reservations and directions, visit portugaldining.com or call 310-833-3553. All right, it's Phil Hulett and Friends, and you're listening to it. Hopefully that wasn't a surprise. But we're here. You might as well leave it on. Thanks. I'm Phil. Ted and Chris and Brooke are all here, and it's a great time to be talking about beer. It really is. It's October.
Correct.
Oktoberfest began in September for some odd reason. We'll find that out in a moment why. And also, I'm gaining more and more of a love for craft beer, and I think a lot of people are. And sooner or later, all beer will be considered craft beer because that's where marketing goes.
It's acquired
where
taste.
the people are, right? Now, joining us live in the studio is the guy behind beeroftomorrow.com. He's a freelance beer writer and a certified Cicerone. It's John Vireve.
John.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
He brought beer.
Yes. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Now, John, remind us again what a Cicerone is. It's not deep-fried pork rinds, right?
It's not, though. Sometimes I wish.
Yes.
No, it's like a sommelier, but for beer. So I'm trained to serve beer and judge beer and kind of guide people through the wide world of beer.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there's color, there's bouquet, there's all these different things. Do we use the same terminology that the wine peeps do?
Yeah, and more they're kind of crossing over. But the one biggest difference of tasting beer and tasting wine is when you taste wine, you go to wine tasting, there's the spit bucket, and you have a sip, you swirl it around, you spit it out.
Yeah.
What? Right. Not today.
Yeah, no, beer, you got to swallow the beer because
Right.
you there's flavors you taste after you swallow it.
Oh, the burp flavor.
Kind of, yeah. It's called retronasal. It's weird, but
Yes.
it's breathing out after you swallow. You'll taste things that you don't get in your mouth. So
We had a
it's,
soda guy in here once, and he was talking about a maple something or other bacon soda, and he said you drink it and you taste the maple and the bacon, and then you burp up later and you get something entirely different. and it's
horrible.
Maple.
and
It's called acid reflux.
and it's delightful. But anyway, so a lot of beers do that, and you think, oh, great, that was. Let me go pop open another one of those.
Yeah. It can be, actually, and add a little added bonus at the end of the bottle that, like, oh, that was a really good beer. I enjoyed that. You enjoy it both ways.
Now, with the craft beers, do you get that obnoxious beer and cigarettes breath that you get when you're down in the Coors and the Bud Light and all of that sort of thing?
Not that I've noticed.
No?
But,
If you're drinking all the time, John, I got to clue you in on something, pal.
Now, we'll get a little more into the craft beers in a bit, but this is, as I pointed out, an especially wonderful time of year for beer lovers, thanks to the Germans and their Oktoberfest. Am I right? Is it the Germans that started all of
it
this?
is, yes. The Bavarians in Munich were the ones that actually started it, but
Right.
they're all Germans now.
And am I also right that Oktoberfest starts in September?
It does. It actually ends on the first Sunday of October. So the Munich Oktoberfest just ended a couple days ago.
So what the heck are we doing? All right, see you later.
But thankfully in America, they keep going all the way to Halloween. So.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
Yeah,
Because
Americans make the most of it, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
we commercialize everything, and the price of brats goes up, and all the sexy beer maiden costumes at the Halloween store start selling out for a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there's some history behind that, or is that something we concocted?
The
beer
traditional-
maiden thing.
No, that's Oktoberfest started basically as a wedding for a Bavarian prince, and it was like this great, huge 16-day long party that ended in a horse race.
Yeah.
All right.
And everybody had such a great time, and it was like I don't remember the exact date, in the 1600s, I believe.
All right, 17th century.
And everybody had such a great time. Like, let's do it again next year.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it. I lied. It was 1810 is when it started.
All right. Okay.
So wedding was 1810, and then they've been doing it ever since for the 16 days leading up to the day the wedding was at, which was the first Sunday on October.
Right, and did they do the chicken dance at the wedding?
They certainly had the the Oompah bands, I imagine, but I don't know
Right.
about the chicken
Well,
dance.
that's a uniquely
They
German
definitely
thing.
did.
And
Sure, yeah.
there's nothing wrong with Oompah bands, especially if you're a lover of the tuba, like I am. Now, there's that, and then there's the contest that the beer maidens do with how many giant, what do they call those glasses?
Moss.
Mass.
Yeah, I believe my German's really bad.
Is
but,
it 26 ounces? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's like it's actually probably a little bit more than that. It's a full liter, so a liter is like 30 ounces.
Yeah.
My goodness. And they compete to carry as many of those as they possibly can.
Right.
Yeah, and then they'll also do ones where you hold them out. You fill 2 of them up and hold them out, your arms out to the side, and see who can hold their arm out straight the longest with a full muscle.
But it seems like a waste of beer, doesn't it?
Well, I think they chug it then after that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. As soon as they start to drop it.
Once a drop even comes out of the
There's
rim.
so many contests surrounding Oktoberfest. There's the thing where they stack the plastic beer cups to the ceiling. After I don't know if that's something we just do here at the local Oktoberfest places. There's 2 of them within about a
Torrance,
25-yard mile radius from our studio here in the LA Harbor. Torrance is one, Huntington Beach is the other.
I do it at Huntington Beach. Oh,
Yeah, and then there's one
been there.
kind of like that near where the Anaheim Ducks play hockey. And I forget what it's called, the Anaheim Bro House or Brew.
Oh, yeah,
some,
the Hofbrau.
Hofbrau, something like that.
I thought you were talking about Fritz, too.
Yeah, no, that's a different thing altogether.
Don't forget about that multi-event we have that actually concludes with 4 guys standing on each end of a table and then chugging beer down the line till they get to Das Boot. You might remember that one.
No, I don't remember that.
No.
I remember
Forgot.
I knew a guy in Tampa, and he could stand on his head on a table in the bar and drink pour beer down his throat standing on his head.
See? You want to be the life of the
Yes,
party,
man.
you have to have some kind of beer talent.
But it's beer that's the connecting item there.
Yeah, all right. So let's see, checking off the list, how did it all get started? We got that. It was a wedding in 1810. The chicken dance, we don't know where that originated. Probably in Torrance or Huntington Beach.
Very bad dancing on the
likely.
part of white people, I think. I'm sure.
What is the quintessential Oktoberfest beer, then?
It's interesting because it's changed a lot. It's gotten every year. It seems to get a little bit lighter and a little bit less bigly flavored.
Is that
in
our
German.
influence as beer consumers, or is that a German thing?
I think that's more of a German thing because the Oktoberfest that you find on the shelf, especially the craft brewed stuff, is more like the traditional. It's called a Marzen style, and that's a beer that was traditionally brewed at the end of the brewing season because you couldn't brew during the summer back in the olden days in Germany. So they brewed a bunch of beer in March.
Why is that? Why couldn't they brew in the summer?
It's the temperatures are too warm for fermentation to really work all that well. So you got a lot of weird off flavors, and the beer just wasn't that good. So like instead of brewing German beer that's not that good, let's only brew through March and then cut it off.
All right, so that's why high school students should not become craft brewers because they only have time during the summer to do it. Yeah.
Thankfully, we have refrigeration now, so we can kind of get around those limitations.
All right.
But then, when Oktoberfest rolled around, they could start brewing again, and if they had any beer left, which they always did because they're Germans, they brew a lot of beer.
Sure.
They drank it all during Oktoberfest, so that's why the March beer was consumed in mass quantities during
Nice.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
All right, so it's an ale, right?
It's actually a lager.
Oh, it is a lager.
Yeah. So a lot of the German beers, the traditional German beers, are lagers, and that's kind of like their signature now in the world. But it's not a light lager. It's like caramel colored and.
Oh wait, he's cracking
I'm
open a
gonna go
bottle.
Here we go. Okay, that a boy, John.
Up against the mic now.
Oh, that was a quiet pop.
I'll do the next one. Will be much more.
Here we
So
go.
you
Here
can
we
see
go.
it's kind of like a coppery color, and that's the toasted malts.
Nice.
The toasted malts they use for this beer, and it gives it this nice
Thank you.
richness and.
Thank you.
Nice specimen.
Now this is who makes this Oktoberfest beer?
This is the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest out of Chico, California, and it
We
should be
supposed to
available.
smell it first?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Take a smell.
All right, that smells like
Smells like beer to me.
Smells delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I'm going to ask a girl question, perhaps. What's the difference between an ale and a lager? That was a good one.
Nice.
I was expecting this question. Ales are an older technology, so they've been around for thousands of years. Lagers were kind of the new wave of beer that came across in the 19th century. And there's many different types of ale yeasts. Like they're both yeasts, but there's like a bunch of different like dog breeds of yeast that are ale yeast. They all do different things. They all taste slightly different. There's only a very small number of different lager yeasts, and so they work a little slower. But they also make a beer that's not quite as complex or fruity, which is what you get from ale yeast. So it's like a cleaner beer.
Yeah.
That's why all of the mass market American beers or lagers because they don't want a lot of flavor in those
Right.
beers. They want them to be as drinkable and as kind of easy drinking as possible. So
Yeah, because
that's
flavor would require discriminating taste.
right.
Yeah.
Right, and if you're going to drink 12 of them, what the hell? You don't need to taste anything.
Yes.
Right.
And how in the world do you market to people with taste?
Correct. Can't do that in this country.
It is tricky.
But that's the essence of craft beer. People who have discriminating taste seek out a
Right.
particular flavor, and they find the craft beer or two or three that they enjoy.
Yeah, or 20 or 30.
Like 20 or 30. Yeah, so we have a whole new generation of people who are into craft beer seriously, right?
Oh yeah. It's,
Well, especially where we live, Southern California, down in San Diego, and it's creeping up the coast. There are a lot of craft brews being developed all over the place.
There was a little microbrewery right down here in Belmont Shore in Long Beach.
oh yeah.
Sorry, that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been there for years. Is it still there?
It is still there. It's but the Belmont Brewing Company is actually also, they have a sister brewery in downtown called the Bonaventure Brewing Company, and that guy's been brewing close to 20 years probably by now.
Wow.
There's also one on 6th Street in San Pedro Brewing Company, which is a little brew pub, but they make some really good stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, so
All right.
you're
now that's
real close there.
That's within walking
Dog eat
distance.
that one.
Up the hill, but
Yeah. Wasn't it the Ale and the Whale or something like that? Was that like a restaurant next to the...
yeah.
Maybe it's the same place. I don't know. Maybe it changed hands.
Yeah, there's some history there that I'm a little foggy on.
Now, this
Yeah.
one's pretty good, John. This
Now,
is,
John, do you belong to this this beer drinking social media thing, Untapped?
I've kind of fallen off the Untapped wagon, so to speak.
You were there
I
for a
was
while.
there. Yeah, I'm certainly familiar with it and use it, but not to as regularly as I used to.
Go ahead, trash it. Let's
Yeah.
hear why.
No, it's great. I just, when I'm drinking beer, I don't like to be in my phone and look,
Amen.
Right.
I like
Rating
to-
it.
Yeah.
talking to people and
And I do
interacting.
find
It's a social
that,
thing.
when I started, here's what I have to do. I have to take a picture of the bottle.
Yeah.
Or a bottle and the glass with some of it in there, and then say a thing or two about the beer. And I'm awful at describing the beer other than
Tasty.
that's tasty. And so that's as a cicerone, you can use all the fancy words and describe the aroma and the taste, and you can tell what percentage of this is in there and that sort of thing. And I can't do that. I just know it tastes good.
Well, that's actually a good point. Like if you're at that point of drinking beer where you know what you like, but you're not quite sure what it is that's going on, it's actually really good to have that exercise of going in and making those Untapped reviews, and it's kind of, I like it because it's not too sweet, or I like it because it's kind of toasty. And then the more you use that vocabulary, the more you train your brain to kind of think about what you like and what you taste.
Right,
And you'll find some new stuff, and it's a good way.
Yeah. Now, Oktoberfest is not a time for these IPAs, right? Because I'm still not on the IPA train.
You'll get there.
boy, it's
That's what people keep saying.
I'll tell you what, my family up in Northern California, they broke me in.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, they took me to a beer tasting as well as a guy down the street too.
Yeah.
A big party. Oh,
I've
man.
been making an honest effort for about 3 years,
It's
and I'm
tough.
just not getting
I
it.
don't get it.
it's tough.
I don't get it. I'm a stout porter girl.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Man.
Boy, he just perked up. Look at John.
Well, so you like the bitterness isn't too off-putting to you if you like the stouts and porters, like coffee and chocolate and stuff like that.
I don't think of the stouts and porters as being bitter to me. But whatever they put in the hops for the IPAs, I cannot do it.
Because of what? Because of a bitter
It's like
sort
the
of
herbal
flavor, right?
kind of
It's hopsy,
whatever. It's
right,
like
John?
yeah, it just sort of makes my face
It's
fish up.
powerful, is what it is.
And what does IPA stand for again?
It stands for India Pale Ale, and that's it's a really complicated. You may have heard that like they put the beer on a boat in England and sent it to India, and it kept going bad, so they made it stronger and put more hops in it, and then there was a train wreck, a shipwreck, and then the people found the kegs of the beer and they fell in love with it. All of that is questionable history, but basically. It was a beer that was exported to India, and it was extra hops because that's what people liked back then too.
Yeah.
So
and it has a romantic, mythical story behind it.
it does, which everybody loves.
All right. Now, you have one more bottle. Don't crack it open yet.
No.
But give us an idea what that is, because I think before we get to it, I just give us a bit of an idea.
So the first one we're drinking right now is the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest, and the reason I brought this is one because Sierra Nevada is probably the pioneer of craft brewing in America.
Pioneer. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that's
Not Sam Adams.
They were all started right around the same time, but traditionally you think of Northern California as the birthplace of craft brewing,
Right.
and it was a place called New Albion was one of the first in 1976. Sierra Nevada, they're defunct now. Sierra Nevada followed very closely after in 79, 80 is when they opened up, and they're still around. They're one of the biggest, one of the best craft breweries. They're fantastic. Their Oktoberfest this year, they actually partnered with a 600-year-old German brewery called Brauhaus Riegele. I'm sure I'm butchering that, but Riegele. It's a family-owned brewery. The brewmaster's there is the 26th generation of brewers
wow.
Nice.
in the
That's
same
awesome.
family.
I'm not kidding.
So this is a more German-style Oktober. It sounds weird to say more German-style Oktoberfest than what we normally think of, but it's a little bit lighter than the other craft versions, and it's but it's still got that kind of great American Sierra Nevada hop character at the end.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
I
So-
did taste that at the end.
Yeah.
And somehow I'm stomaching it. I actually kind of like this, surprisingly.
Yes,
To me.
and I think this has a good.
I think it's because you're hungover, and
I think so, yeah.
it's the hair of the dog at this point for you.
Absolutely, Chris.
But I think this has chuggability.
I'll have a little more.
That's what I think. Some beers you
Over
have
here
to
too,
sip
Ted.
them a little bit and nurse them for a while. This one I think you can down it in a hurry.
Yeah,
win.
each sip makes you want another sip of
Yeah.
this beer.
All right.
And that's a dry finish.
So I
this-
want to take a little break, but just give me
Yeah.
not a taste, but a look at what this is real quick.
This is a Weinstefaner Fest beer, which it's been a while since I've had one of these, but I believe it's going to be even lighter than this one and a little bit drier and a little bit more of the continental style of Oktoberfest.
You mean more alcohol?
I think they're both right around 6%. So, yeah.
All right. So together we're getting 12%.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. More with the Cicerone, John Vireve, next right here on Phil Hulett and Friends. All right. You smell the beer breath? That's because we've been drinking beer here in the studio on Phil Hulett and Friends with John Vireve. He's a beer expert. Cicerone is to beer as sommelier is to wine, and he's a freelance beer writer, and his website is beeroftomorrow.com. And today he's cracking open a beer. What do you call this one again?
This is the Weinstefaner Fest beer.
Ooh.
Weinstefaner.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil, John said that he had to train to be a Cicerone. Now, I can only imagine the grueling training process that you have to go through to be a certified beer tester.
Yeah, the homework.
Yeah,
the,
it's
Right.
the
yes.
studying.
Think of the
Oh,
exam.
my
Holy
gosh.
mackerel.
The frightening thing is I'm currently studying for the Master Cicerone exam in March.
Oh, nice.
Which is an exam that there's 10 Master Cicerones in the world right now.
And you would be number 11?
Hopefully.
Cool.
Is there anything
and we
above
know
that?
you.
Yeah.
And so it's a 2-day test. It's a lot of hands-on stuff, like pop quizzes or one-on-one quizzes and written essays and tasting beer. And
There's something
brewing
weird
process.
about there only being 10. It almost seems
Yeah.
like one's got to drop dead to open up a space for you.
Sounds like a cult.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. All right. So cheers. Or what do you say in Germany?
Ugh, no.
Proust?
Yeah.
Proust?
Proust.
No,
Yes.
that's not
Proust.
right.
Take that.
Okay.
Is
I
it?
should know that.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is.
Sausage.
Proust.
Yeah.
So you can see this beer is much lighter in color.
Yeah.
than
It
the
is.
other one
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
And
a little
it's
bit...
a lot of bubbles.
Yeah.
Fist beer.
It is. Maybe
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a little
yeah, yeah.
warm, but
Oh, I'm liking this. Yeah, this is good.
Is it lighter?
yeah, it's a
Oh,
little...
this has definitely a more Euro beer flavor
Oh, yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best way I can explain it. Like
What were you
when
saying, John?
it's a
Should it be
little fruity.
colder?
I would serve this a little bit cooler than it is right now, but I mean, it's not terrible.
Would you avoid serving it in plastic cups as well?
Ideally, but I'm not picky.
A little for our producer.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
executive producer,
Sure.
Mike Stark, who came in and wants to taste this as well.
So this has a more traditional European hop character to
Yeah,
it, which
right.
is kind of like herbal and
Is that
zesty.
is that
I
what
like
I'm
to
tasting
say.
at the very end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you
Right.
say rounder flavor?
Sure.
The other one was
Yeah,
why
rounder.
not?
I would agree that the other
The other one seemed more full-bodied.
yeah.
Full body, yes.
There's-
I don't have a clue, really.
much more malt character in that first beer.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was toastier. This one's much. The color is, which you could see it's radio though, so
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
This is like straw colored, maybe honey color.
Yeah.
The other one was more of like a coppery gold.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, I think you're exactly right, honey. Okay, so the Brooke had a question for you about your beer tasting preferences.
I would like to know, as a beer master, what's your favorite beer? Where do you go to?
I like everything. Obviously, I'm not picky, but I like to drink beer, and I like to not drink one and be done for the night. Like I'd like to have a few beers for the evening when I'm out with friends. So I like lower alcohol stuff, and I love traditional German style pilsners, especially the new American takes on these beers. There's one out of Paso Robles. Firestone Walker is an amazing brewery,
Yeah.
and they make a beer called Pivo Pilsner. and it's light and dry and crisp and floral and beautiful and crushable. I think they say
Crushable.
Yeah, you can drink like 3 or 4 of them, and you get each one. You don't get some beer like IPAs especially. You'll drink one, and you'll be like, "Oh, that was good," but I'm kind of tired. My tongue's tired of drinking all that flavor. Pivo, you can have 3 or 4 and be like, "Oh no, he's still good."
Pivo.
Pivo.
So I got to drive to Paso to get it?
Oh no, it's all over the place. They have cans, bottles.
Cool.
Yeah, everywhere.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
write it
Fun,
down.
fun,
All right.
fun.
Good to know. All right. And beeroftomorrow.com. We could read your writing there and also freelance stories. Any stories for us to make note of at the moment?
LA Times Daily Dish food blog is I'm there 3 times a week, and I just did a story on Stone's new carrot cake beer, which is really great.
Ooh.
Carrot cake beer.
Sounds
Heck
like
yeah.
dessert.
Hey, now.
Now, we only have like 5 seconds. Pumpkin flavored beers?
The carrot cake beer is better than pumpkin flavor.
All right, good to know.
Hey, thanks, John.
John,
Good.
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Beeroftomorrow.com.